Good evening, Warlords. Rodge here. Welcome to Saga Thursday. I am with a very special guest all the way from Poland, Wojciech. How are you doing today, my man?
Good evening. I'm fine. Thank you very much. Or good evening in the US. Good morning.
It's morning
Good morning
here.
in Poland. Oh, sorry. Good morning in the US.
Yeah, I don't know why I said evening. So it's morning here in the US. It's around lunchtime in Poland. And then, of course, you can be watching this video at any time. So I got hooked up with you through Chris and the Polish guys. So you are running a campaign, or maybe just ran one, or have ran many. You've been referred to me as the campaign master. So you've got a lot to live up to. So are you in Chris's gaming group?
Actually, we are playing the same shop, the shop in Poznań. We got about 12 players at this moment who are taking part in the campaign. I guess about 20 altogether in Poznań, in our city, playing Saga.
Mm-hmm.
And we are playing with Chris. He and our other friend, Boguś, they worked on Saga for like 2 or 3 years before it actually became popular in Poland.
Mm-hmm.
So they introduced me to the Saga games. We played a little bit together, and because I am basically an RPG guy, I mean, I love campaigns. I love everything that has some kind of narrative connection. So I thought, well, Saga looks nice. It's historical. It's you can use maps for it, and why not? Let's try it. Yeah. And I was always inspired by GW huge events like with all those maps and all of the narratives in the background, and well, I thought Saga is perfect for it.
Cool. Yeah, I think Saga is perfect. The scale, I think, is good. You can really have some character there. So campaigns in Saga. So there's been a few different official attempts out there we can recap. So there's the Age of the Wolf book, which came out with first edition. Now, unfortunately, that was already kind of outdated when it came out because it didn't have references to the Crusades or like priests or anything like that. So it was missing some stuff already when it came out. And then there's been some campaign stuff kind of tucked away in other books. So in Age of Invasions, there's the Limes campaign. It's kind of limited for the most part. It's a 2-player kind of thing. Romans versus barbarians. And then in the other Age books now, in the 2nd edition, we've got some stuff tucked away in the back there that seems perfect for campaigns with the Acts of Faith and the Crusades, and that kind of magic items and stuff in the Viking book. And then in Book of Battles, just the briefest of ways to run a campaign in the back, sort of with the traits and attributes with the different warlords. I think I've touched on all the official attempts to try and get folks to do a campaign. So I kind of looked at what you have, but most of it's in Polish, so you didn't send me a lot. So is it based off any of the things that I've touched on so far, or is this home from scratch?
Basically, I took a look at all of them. I mean, I checked all the existing campaigns for Saga, for the rules. I wanted to see if there are also, some rules that I can use from other systems. And I just made some kind of compilation because, for example, when it comes to Age of the Wolf, I think it seemed for me a little bit complicated. I mean, if you have, I started with 4 players, but if you have 4, 8, or 10 players, you want to make the rules as simple as possible because I think there is nothing worse than people looking at the charts and thinking, what should I do, or what now? What's gonna happen now? And but to be frank, I just compiled some rules from the Age of the Wolf, some rules from, I don't remember now, other systems, and some my own ideas of that I had there. To be frank, we are using the Age of the Wolf campaign card for our armies because they have the system of allocating the resources, which I also used for our campaign. But I tried to simplify it. I mean, I tried. I failed a little bit because I have like 6 or 7 pages of the rules, and they are expanding every season, I think, because everyone has their own ideas, and we are thinking like, okay, let's try this as well and put it into FAQ. So I have more FAQ than Saga official game, I think, at this moment. So as I said, I created it for 4 players in the beginning. I mean, you talked about the Age of Invasion, that there is a 2-player campaign over there, and I really liked it. But, well, we had a small gaming group of 4 players, and we're like, oh, well, I have to think about something else. And then suddenly there were 3 more and 5 more, well, 3 more and 5 more. Now we have 12 of them playing, and 2 waiting for their time to enter the world.
The barbarians at the edge of the map waiting to come on board. Cool.
Yeah, actually, in the beginning, I tried to put everything, according to the historical data. So in the very beginning, we had 1 Pagan Ras player, 1 Viking player, me playing the Last Romans, and 1 Gael Nordic player. So I just put them on the map in the historical, places, and I thought, okay, we have a lot of neutral ground. We can fight over the neutral ground. It will be cool. After 1 season, we had 3 more players, another Last Roman player, another Pagan Ras player. It started to be a little bit, tight. And then when another 5 players came, basically the whole Europe was divided into the sections which were not so historical anymore.
Yeah, I mean, you got to do what you can, but you're just playing a game here in the end.
Yeah, that's true.
So cool. So have you run a campaign using this? So you say 4 players initially. Does that mean that one like ran through and finished, and then you started a new one, or is this like an ongoing one we're talking about?
It's ongoing one. I mean, we started. The idea was that we will have like 6 years, every year divided into 4 seasons, a little bit like in the Age of the Wolf, I think. The first 2 seasons played with 4 points because I wanted to see in every band, because I wanted to see how everything works. Then the 3rd season was supposed to be played 6 points, and then the 4th season was supposed to be a mass battle, as you know, the end of the year, and so on. And it worked the first year with 4 players, and the second year we got new players, and I had to expand a little bit. So I thought, why to reset everything? We have some rules. We learn all the time, just put new players on the board, add some victory points for everyone, just, to make everything even, and let's go on from that. So, yeah, we are actually, at this moment, we are at the end of the 2nd year, just before the mass battle phase. So it's 9 games for all of from the players that started, 5 or 6 games for other players. So something around that.
So how much time, real world time has elapsed then over this? When did it start?
We put a time restraint for 1 season for 2 weeks of the real time. Because I thought that I didn't want to, make it a very, very long game or very, very long campaign. And we have players from, different backgrounds. We have students, we have working people with families and so on. We needed to find a way to let all of them play, which is interesting. Putting the restraint to 2-week restraint, the 2-week limit, actually made some people play. They tell me that when they didn't have the time frame, they would say, okay, today I cannot, I have to work, or today I cannot, I have to go with my family somewhere. And then when they had this campaign thing and the time limit, they would just schedule the day, and they would say, okay, I have to be there because, everyone else needs to finish the season, and I have to be there as well. And for some of the players, it was like, okay, that's great. I have time for playing Saga, actually. Because before that, there were long periods that they didn't have time or couldn't find time for it, and now they're like, yeah, I have to be there, I have to play.
That's awesome. Yeah,
That's amazing.
how time management works. I mean, you have time. It's just whether it's important or not to you.
Yeah.
So, and usually if there's other people counting on you to do something, that raises the importance. And then all of a sudden, oh, I do have time now because I schedule it out in advance. So that's really awesome, is getting more people into Saga. So when did it start then? I'm just projecting.
Let me think. 2 months ago, maybe 3 months ago.
Okay, so we're still in the honeymoon phase of the
No,
campaign.
Wait. More time ago. I mean, oh gosh, it was earlier in September, I guess. Last year, September. We had a little bit, hiatus right now because of the holiday season, and
Sure.
so you cannot force people to play games when they have the Christmas holiday and so on. And to be frank, there are some times that I actually, being the campaign master, I just push them all the time, like, okay, we have to finish this one, just do it. Although during the holiday season I had the different experience because I couldn't find a lot of time for it, and I got the information. So when do we have the pairings for the next season? When do we have the pairings for the mass battles? And well, how is it going right now? Because the campaign is a little bit, as I said, it's a little bit narrative, which means that before every season, I try to write some kind of narrative about the warlords, what they did, what happened. I try to write it in short story, some theme or something like this, to make their saga, happen. And after the battles, they send us battle reports. Some of the players, they write some kind of notes, from the warlord to the king, or from the warlord to the emperor, what happened during that battle. I also give a victory point at the end of the season for the narrative part of the game.
Nice.
Because it seems that having this it's not that everyone needs to do this, but some people, when they have this part, this role-playing part, they just get more into the playing, and they get ambitious. They know that their warlord is this great guy who did this and this and this, and it seems to work as something that keeps them interested in the games, even if they lose, or even if there is a winning streak of one player who just cannot be beaten, the Pagan Ras faction. And
Sure.
still people just want to do this because they want to write down, or they just want to read about what happened in this area and what happened in that area, and what's going on. So every season starts with this short information about the pairing, who is fighting with whom and why, and on which area of the Europe. And then we have the battle phase, the results phase, and then there is another information like what happened, also narrative wise, who gained what land, and who won, who defeated whom, and so on and so on.
Well, first off, that sounds really cool with having the players kind of do like a little write-up, because I think, it makes the person writing it more invested in everything, and then people reading that are going to get more excited and more invested, just hearing what everybody else is going on too. So I do want to go to your little chart here, and maybe we can kind of go through the mechanics, but where is there like a Facebook group specifically for the campaign?
Yeah, we have started Facebook groups. It seems that Facebook is like the main tool right now. We made this Facebook groups called Saga: The Age of Legends. So everyone is interacting over there, and every information that is needed is over there, including the rules. They are at this moment they're in Polish, so that won't help a lot. For non-Polish speaking people. But you can check the rules every time you are anywhere. I mean, you can be in the shop and check the Facebook page, and if you don't know something, don't remember something, just check it, and you know what happens. Or you can just write me a message, and usually
Get
I
it up
try
there.
to answer as fast as possible.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Keep everybody informed and keep it on everybody's mind. So let's pop over to your little chart that you made for us.
Yep.
So looks like this is starting all the way at the very beginning here with choose your saga band, and
Yeah,
then
sure.
so if you can, I mean, basically we're going to suggest folks pick up the Age of the Wolf, I think, probably to run something like this. So but if you can, as we going along here, maybe explain as best you can kind of how the Age of the Wolf works as we go through here. But so if folks want to start something like this, so this is probably a good place to start. So choose your Saga Warband, choose your warlord's nickname, and
It's actually name and nickname, because
name
of
and
course we want to make it narrative. So you put the name, Svennik, for example, Warlord Svennik, and then I have a list of. It's already some kind of mechanic part. I have a list of the nicknames. Every nickname is kind of that has some special skill behind it. So, for example, here I have three of them listed: the Wise, the Conqueror, the Fair. So, for example, you have the Svennik the Wise, and your warlord can get this Wise trait from the Book of Battles, the first level of it, just for free. You can have I don't know, we have Rollo the Conqueror. He actually died. We had Rollo the Conqueror, and he got like 1 point of land with resource, and so on. We here in the chart, you don't have, for example, I know the greedy one, and you have some Hakon the greedy, and he gets 1 point of wealth resource, I think. So this helps you to build your army, and also helps you to put your motivation in. It's a little bit the same system as in the Age of the Wolf. Everyone has a motivation. One of the three of them: the wealth, the resource, and the reputation.
Okay.
In the beginning, when you choose all of them, the names and the nicknames, you start to make your first warband, and you have 8 points of wealth, reputation, and land, the resources, plus whatever you got from the nickname, to create your army. I won't say the warband because it's a little bit different. Your army can have as many units as you can put the resource in, so more than 6 points. And every point of resource gives you something. So, for example, this is we have in allocate your resources to build your army. You have, for example, 1 point of Heartguard, 1 unit of Heartguards for 1 point of reputation, 1 unit of warriors for 1 point of wealth, 1 unit of levies for 1 point of land. It's the idea is that you have the levies, for your living on your land, and if you have a good reputation, the hired guards will join you, and so on. And then you can get the mercenaries, 2 points of wealth for 1 unit of mercenaries, obvious. You can have relics. We included the relics, 2 points of reputation for them. You can have the champion, bard, or priest for 1 point of land. I even actually in the beginning I also put the point value for the legendary units, but not with legendary warlords. It's not the story of legendary warlords. It's the story of your warlord. But then I figured out that there is only 1 legendary unit, I think, or 2 in the Age of Vikings book.
Sure.
They're expensive. They're like 2 points of reputation and 1 point of wealth for 1 unit. So one of our players had the last Roman cataracts, I think.
Yeah.
And he wanted to have 8 of them in 1 unit. So basically, he put half of his resources into this 1 unit. It's a little bit difficult when you play the 4-point game and you have basically 1 unit of cataracts, and then you have levies or something like this.
So,
But
yeah, so you get 8 points of stuff. So then your 4 points, you're just pulling from that 8 points? So this is what's available, and then you recruit 4 points. Is that how it works? And now you're up to
This
6
is what's
points.
available, but I also made a rule that you have fixed units. So, for example, if you want to put, I don't know, 2 units of archers in Last Romance, one 10 people and one 4 people, because they are warriors, you have to write it on the card as fixed unit. Why is it so? Because we also ruled that units can have the traits like warlords. In the beginning, we thought, okay, no problem. After a few games, we realized that some of the units became just a killing machines.
Yeah.
So we made a rule that you can have one level of the skill on one unit.
Yeah, these warriors are now they got a good trait, so now they're always 12-man warriors now because they have some good ability that they picked up. So cool, that makes sense. Adds another
they need
layer.
to stay like in one group, and there is also a rule: if all of your warriors die, and in the battle, and then we have this thing at the end of each battle that for every person who died, you roll d6, and on 1 he is missing the next game. He died, like died, and he cannot join the next game. So you can put like 7 warriors on the field. It's okay, but only one game. Because we say that, well, the warlord later on recruited new one and so on and so on. But if you lose the whole unit and you lose this one guy because of the one, you also you lose the trait. Happened to my Varangian guards once.
Lost.
It's nice to have Varangian guards running through the forests without any penalties until they die, all of them.
Yeah. Cool. That makes sense. Yeah, the casualty thing is tough. And we'll get to that later in the bottom, but Saga is so even, like even a win is generally just barely a win a lot of the times in Saga because we're using the same troops, the same stats. So having fewer troops due to casualties can make it really tough. So okay, so you've got your resources, you're building your army, so send the orders. So you'll have to explain a little bit, I guess, how this works. So do you are you matched up against somebody when you send your orders, or how does that the pairings then?
There is I try to make it like very, very neutral, based on the map. So every warlord has 3 possible orders. One is invasion, which, well, is pretty self-explainable. You invade the country that is next to yours, and if you win the game, this country becomes your land.
Nice.
This is invasion. Then you have raid. You can go wherever you want. You take your longboats and you just go wherever, just to pillage and kill some people and get some money and slaves and so on. This is called raid. But you just don't get the land from it. You just get some wealth, maybe some other resource. And then you have the defense, when you think that someone can attack you or you just don't feel like, attacking anyone. You just say that you are going to defend your lands. And I try to make it like really mechanical, just, the closest army that is to your land attacks you and so on. It didn't work. It worked with 4 people. When it came to 12 people, it just started to be really, really difficult to match it. So eventually I decided, okay, basing on your all my players just send me their orders, and basing on their orders, I just look at the map and I decide who is going to fight against whom. Mostly it is possible to make it, this guy attacked the land nearby the other guy's land, so I can say that they clashed over there. Especially now when the map is very tight, there are basically no neutral grounds. So every attack means that they attack someone else. Sometimes it means that one player has to play 2 or 3 games. But then he can choose whether it's because only one of the games is like game that you get points for. So in the beginning, he chooses, okay, this game I will get points for, and the other games I just try to defend against other people or fight against other people. And sometimes, to be frank, me being the game master and also the player at the same time, I usually wait for just the last order to come and just do whatever is needed to have nice pairs. So, for example, if I see that one player has no opponent at this time, I say, okay, my people right his land. And if I see that someone else has like 3 guys attacking him, I would say my people went there to help him to defend, just to...
Makes sense,
because sometimes people don't have time to play 3 games in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
It's kind of difficult.
It's a challenge.
The challenge, yeah. So sometimes I just write to some people and say, also in a little bit narrative way, the last Roman scouts of my warlord figured out that someone will attack you. Are you sure that you want to raid some other guy? Okay, no, okay. let's change pairing a little bit. So the pairing system is not so perfect. It's just me doing this work. Yeah, the game master. And also you don't want to have. For example, one player being attacked by another one 5 times in a row because he didn't win the game, or
Correct. So you gotta balance all that, because sometimes it can be an issue if it's a map based and it's really restrictive, and if the 2 guys are next to each other. So we did a campaign years ago for Warhammer, and that's okay. You guys are next to each other, so you guys are gonna fight basically every turn because I'm over here by this other guy. So you just got to be flexible with all that, and as long as everybody knows that it's just for fun. And
so the raids help with this. Actually, the raids help with it a lot.
Is that what allows people to go all the way across the map and hit up, get in your long ships and head out there?
I have one player who actually is not interested in invading anything. He's just interested in raiding, which is very, very helpful because here the Nordic-gaels in English? Nordic-gaels,
Nautical, naval.
Yeah.
Nautical.
Yeah.
Those are both applicable. Yeah. So in the ships.
He's just going from one place to another, raiding everyone. So it's helpful.
That's awesome. So after that, next step, have some fun and play.
Sure.
After that, check the casualties. So if this is how it works, for every 4th slain figure of your army, roll on a d6. So on a 1, they miss their next battle. So yeah, that's pretty tame actually. So that's probably just a couple figures from the next game.
Yeah,
unless you're really unlucky.
I think the biggest count I had, and I'm famous for rolling once, was 3 or 4 guys missing next game.
Okay, so add some flavor, but it's not going to be an auto lose next game necessarily because you have some guys out.
Especially that when we play the Book of Battles. Basically every time we play, there's a scenario. I didn't write there about choosing the scenarios because every order has its own scenarios. So Right has a few scenarios, the Invasion has a few scenarios, and Defense has their own scenarios. So players choose the scenario before the game, again by rolling d6. On 1, 2, they play the invading guy per scenario. On 3, 4, the scenario that is in both orders, and then 5, 6, they playing the other guy's scenario, because you can have invasion, defense, invasion, raid, different options. And when you are defending and someone is attacking your land, you get to choose what scenario you will play, and if you will be defender in this scenario or the attacker. So you can choose the ambush, you can be the attacker, and
nice.
So this is a little bit like the something better for the defending players because they know their lands, and just I try to help them a little bit. If you, of course, and every player has his motherland or fatherland, so your main land, and if someone attacks your main land, he can get better points. I mean, victory points. He can get more resources, but when you defend, you have 1 point of the army more on the table. So you can have 7 points, basically.
Ooh.
We didn't have this yet. I mean, I haven't seen anyone attacking. there were two guys who thought about it, but then they started calculating that 7 against 6 may be difficult, so they choose different targets. But we are waiting for the first player to do this, to try this, actually.
Kind of depends on the skill of the players. If they're evenly matched, that's pretty tough to overcome, perhaps. But okay, that's quite cool. So after the battle, we're going to get some goodies, some additional resources. So do you keep growing your like army then? So you started with 8. So after every battle, will that grow?
It is possible to grow. It is possible to grow after battle. If you win, you have, for every order, you have a different chart that you check what you won. And you can, of course, there is a possibility on 1, because I love 1s, that you don't get anything. I mean, you just attacked, nothing happened, no resources, life. Then on 2 up to 4, you can get a resource. And for invasion, you get land, obviously. For raid, you get wealth, 1 point of resource in wealth. And for defense, you get 1 point of resource in reputation. It seemed, sensible.
That makes sense.
You raid, you get money. You defend, you get reputation among your people. And then on 5, 6, you can get a special thing. The special things, they have names. So, for example, if you get the raid and you rolled, well, because the special thing table is also 3 or 4 points. So you can get Old Master, and the Old Master gives your warlord 1 point of reputation and 1 random first level trait, because he felt impressed and he started to teach you. If you make the invasion, you can get the armory of the defeated lords, and you get 1 point of wealth and 1 point of reputation, so 2 points of things. There is a way to get artifacts. There is a way to get an extra, sage. It's not sage. The extra scald in the bard, the troubadour.
Sure. Yeah.
There is a way to not lose your, guys who died, because, for example, after you fought and you got the special thing, you had the applause of your people, and they, went to your army faster, more than went to your army. So there are the special things that give you additional resource points and additional, basically, units sometimes. That means that your army grows all the time. And you have, you can choose different things, during the battle, you can choose different units. And then after 3 or 4 games, I decided to make the chart for defeated players. Because if you had, a little bit of bad luck and losing streak or something like this, there started to be a difference between 2 armies. And the gap was getting bigger and bigger.
So if you're a good player anyways, you're going to win your games, and then, I got all these extra benefits now too.
Yeah.
That's always tough to address in the campaign. You want to reward people for winning, but then you still, the point is to play the games, and you kind of need fair games for the most part. So you need a way to keep the losers going. So is the chart similar for them?
It's similar. They can get really nice things, but also it's a little bit. You can get a little bit less. I put some. One of my players told me that in the past, in Warhammer Fantasy Battles, there was a system of grudge points, and we decided to put the grudge points into the play. So when they lose, they basically can get something special, or they can get a grudge point, and for 3 grudge points they can do something. For 4 grudge points they can do something. They can get the resource. They can get a special skill when they play against someone who defeated them before, or they can actually use the 5 grudge points to decide on ignoring the random scenario and choose one of their scenarios. and there is Old Feud, Tale of Challenges, or Prized Possessions. So they can choose one of those 3 scenarios and say, I want to play this against you this time, and he will be automatically deciding if he's attacking or defending. Cool. So, because you don't want to give the same prizes for winning and losing to keep it interesting, I think.
Cool. So, one thing from a campaign that we ran. So this was actually this was Warhammer. I did run a Saga campaign at one point, but this one was Warhammer. So we gave the losers, every time you lost the game, basically you got some extra fate on your side. So you just got a reroll. Basically an extra reroll that you could use in all other games there on out. So I was pretty good. I kept winning, and then if you're playing somebody, they got like 5 or 6 rerolls at key points. It really makes those games a lot closer. So it might be an idea for other folks out there. If you gives you you're not getting resources in the campaign, which makes sense, but you're still giving them something, a little motivation for next time, some hope. So there's an idea for you. So sounds like you're just building up your army then. So how do you win it's really important to win the campaign. So is there an end goal in mind, like victory points or anything like that? I mean, you talked about the mega battles. So I guess you kind of do this invade, raid, defend cycle, I guess 3 times, and then the 4th one is like a mega battle. Is that kind of what I picked up from you? Yeah, that's true. So just coming back a little bit. 2 questions there, Yeah, but I just want to go back a little bit. Want to go a little bit back to the casualties, because I forgot to say about one thing which is quite important. Sure. Yeah. The casualties at the warlord, because your warlord also, if he dies, if he falls, he also rolls the die, and if you roll 1, he is not missing the next game, but he is losing 3 points of aggression or 1 point of armor. And if it happens second time, then he dies permanently. Can't respect a warlord with 3 less aggression and armor. Yeah, we had one. We had one warlord who actually died permanently. His son is now conquering the world. But this is something that's, because I told that one of the warlords died before, and it's not the end of the campaign for the player. It's just some narrative thing. He loses all his traits though, and he needs to get the trait points again to get the feats again. Anyway, after every battle, you get victory points. It depends on what is your reputation. Motivation. It depends on what is your motivation and what order you placed. It's also a little bit, I think it's the most complicated part of the campaign, because players usually just send me information. They raided, they won, how many victory points they get. Okay. The chart is not very complicated, but basing on your motivation and basing on your order, you get 1 point of 1 victory point or 2 victory points, sometimes 3 victory points. And also for each resource that you get during the after battle sequence, you get 1 victory point. And we sum up the victory points to check, who is the leading guy and who is, fighting, struggling there. At the end of the year, you get additional victory points for many different things. You can get additional victory point for your narrative, part in the campaign. That's what you said before. You get like 2 victory points for it. You can get 2 victory points for the most land that you have. We have the Pagan Ras Empire spreading half of the Europe at this moment. You can get a lot of land out there. A lot of very cold lands. You have victory points for the biggest army that you have, the most figures that you have in the army. Just figures. If you have all the levies, it's still enough to have the most victory points. To the victory point for it. You can have victory points for the most enemy warlords that you slain.
So everyone
Cool.
just tries to remember that and gives me information how many of them died. You have victory points for, let me think. There are many things that you can add. If you have the most reputation or the most wealth or the most land, you also get additional victory points. So it's not only for the games; it's also for those,
That's cool.
different
Yeah,
side quests.
everybody's got a little sub goal that they can shoot for. So even if you're losing a lot of your games or something, you could still be the master of land because you got all this land in the end. So that's very cool. So so players are accumulating those victory points then. So that's going to be important, I guess, at the very end of the campaign, or is at the end of a year. Does it matter?
Yeah. At the end of the year, you have the additional points, and then when the year ends,
so that's when you get those at the end of the year.
Yeah, you get
Good
until the end
bonus.
of the year. I put the table, the first player with the most victory points, and so on and so on. You have a chance to remodel your army because we found out that having those armies is not always something that you wanted to
If you
do.
made a bad decision, you're not stuck with it for the entire time
So you
period.
can remodel the army inside your resource points, and then we start another year, and the cycle begins again.
Okay.
And I plan to have 3 or 4 years total. It depends on the how players feel about it and what is the situation. Then we will make another one in Age of Vikings, or I'm also working on the one for Age of Magic, which will be completely different.
Sure. Cool. Yeah, that's a good point. So you can do these in any of the ages is fine, and Magic could be fun because you can just do anything. Yeah, you got a lot of freedom there, or it feels like you have more freedom. I mean, you can do anything you want with historical stuff, actually, but portals, teleporting, you can explain anything with a portal.
Yeah, that's true. And there are other things that you have to think about. Like monsters, like magic, and so on. I've seen actually online.
Work up your wizard level.
Yeah, on Saga group, the worldwide Saga group, I've seen a very nice campaign written by someone, I'm not sure, for the Age of Magic, which had a completely different system of scenarios. There are battle reports written about this campaign by the person. I don't remember the name. Although I was very impressed because their scenarios were more themed, like jungle battle, like hunting for monsters, and it was more like, I don't know, in civilization game, or the
yeah.
They get the resources and they can build something. They can build units.
Like the big tower to the gods.
Yeah, exactly. So this is something that I will aim for with the Age of Magic, but for the Age of Vikings, I thought the simple thing is better.
Yeah. Well,
especially this is the first campaign we have.
Yeah, definitely for the first one. Sounds like you're running it right, and then having a deadline or a date, or real life end date versus an in-game date, I think is important, just to keep everybody, just shorter is better. People get really excited at the beginning and tend to drop off towards the end. So just having a nice, concise time period, 3 or 4 months. Well, it sounds like yours is going to be a little longer, but it sounds like it's going well. Is very cool. So the mega battle, how do the mega battles work then? How do you choose sides, or
we use the scenarios? We use the scenarios from the Book of Battles, the mass battle scenarios. The first group of mega battles actually also were kind of narratively paired. So I talked with players, and we said, okay, the Vikings and norse-gaels, they will put the alliance together and will fight against the pagan Rus and last Romans. The problem with mass battles is time, actually. because then
Yeah.
you need to have 4 players, getting together and playing the game.
It's like a
So
whole day. You need it.
yeah,
It has to be a weekend because
it has
nobody
to be
has
a
that much.
weekend. And actually, we last time we had one battle split. I just said, okay, we don't have time. We cannot find the time for it. So let's do the regular one. And then the other battle was split into 2 small battles, and just we compared the results, put it together, and we said, okay, no, that's the life. You cannot expect that everyone will do exactly what you want to do. But I see that a lot of players, they actually wait for the end of the season to have this mass battle played. And when you win the battle, you just get any resource you need.
Cool.
I mean, you get as a result, you get 1 or 2 resource points, and you just choose whatever you want, because the actual orders don't matter in this case. If you ride or the mass battle is basically a narrative thing. I mean, I write
Yeah.
something, do some small write up about situation in the political situation in Europe, and what is gonna happen, and who's trying to defeat whom, and we play the mass battle.
Okay.
This time it's still regular one. Next time I will try to do the scenario which is called Wooden Shields, I think. This is the
Yeah.
one that
You could.
you change alliances during the
Yeah.
battle.
I was gonna ask about that because that level of intrigue adds another level of fun to anything like that. And
Yeah.
so in a campaign, there's got to be informal alliances. So is there anything like that? Do you say, like me and Chris, we're in an alliance, so don't if I invade or whatever, it's not going to be Chris or something like that. Is there any? Has anyone talked to you about that stuff?
Yeah, actually, we had for us in the beginning. I could see that some people try to avoid attacking the lands of other people that they don't want to fight. And after 6 seasons, I thought, okay, let's try to do diplomacy. We put together some ideas, and we for 2 seasons now we have a diplomacy phase.
Okay.
It's just it's in a trial phase. There is the rule that if you don't want to make an alliance with someone, the formal alliance, you need to pay him a resource point.
Okay.
And
yeah.
actually,
So-
he needs to agree and pay you back also a resource point, different resource point, not the same. And then, if you do this, I know that I cannot put you against each other. People know that you are together, and we also had this idea that you can borrow 1 unit of your
Nice.
ally and use actually his battle board for this 1 unit only without orders, because we just thought, okay, if you have, I don't know, norse-gaels with the pagan rules board and long winter and stuff, and they cannot be killed because this one huge killing unit goes into your troops, wins the game. I don't remember the name of the order. Wins the fight. He cannot be charged.
Oh yeah,
And if you
determination.
put
Yep.
yeah, and if you put the long winter, I think, or something like this, he cannot be shot. And it's like, what to do? So yeah, we decided that no orders there, just the activation orders and having reaction orders as well. So you can just have I don't know, your last romance with 1 unit of berserkers if you want to try it.
Okay. Sounds cool.
Yeah.
Working it out. Yeah.
Also, no one tried it yet. I think
Yeah.
people just like to keep the resources with them.
True. I want my berserkers. You cannot use them. Yeah, that's really cool. We'll have to see how that works out. So, a lot of what we're talking about, I will say, might sound confusing, but really this is mainly just the Age of the Wolf, and then you're just adding the stuff from the other books. Essentially, is what you're doing. So
Yeah, that's true.
with the Age of the Wolf, like I say, you're gonna have to monkey around with it. I think a little bit, anyways, to get it to work for you. But the core system, I think, makes sense. and it sounds really cool, and everything you're doing sounds really cool. So I think I'm excited right now to try and get something going with my people. So hopefully out there we can get other folks excited to do some campaign stuff.
Yeah,
and
sure.
So for your campaign specifically, who are the top runners right now? Who's in the lead?
We have, as I
Who's
said,
playing the Pagan Rus?
The Pagan Rus player is Wojciech. Also, we had 3 of them in our group at this moment. He has the Pagan Rus empire at this moment. You can see him on the map I sent you, the last one I sent you. I think he's the orange color one, the light orange color. So his empire spreads from the Far East up to Germany, up to modern age Germany, I think, at this moment. So he's well, the top dog there right now. But we have some people who are trying to gain on him. We have Chris with his Wales, pretty high on the second place, and we have one last Roman player on the third place. But the differences between second and 8th player are very, very close. Cool. I mean, the Dragoslav the Wise is pretty high up and in front of everyone, but other players are pretty close. And
cool. Yeah, and it really needs to be to keep everybody motivated. You know, if I'm getting my butt whooped, and there's no chance of me doing anything, you know, what am I here for? So cool. It sounds like everything's working really well for you. And you said you're on the second year right now. Is that
end of the second year?
Year? So you're about 2/3 or halfway through, depending whether you're going to do 3 or 4 years. So cool. Well, you'll have to let me know how it turns out here on the end, so we can have a update on one of the monthly episodes with Monte. I can report in and let everyone know how it turned out in this alternate. Looks like it's either going to end in 812 AD or 813.
812 or 813,
yeah. We'll see how Europe looks at the end of that, and we can make some predictions about our future based off that.
Maybe I can make, I don't know, maybe I can make Chris to translate it into English. I mean the proper one. The proper English, so Chris, everyone can use it.
Yeah, I think that is very cool. We might have the return of the Welsh Empire. Looks like they're already on the mainland. They've invaded Normandy by the looks of it. So very cool.
The Welsh invaded Normandy. The Pagan Rus last.
That makes sense.
Twice.
You said Rollo. Yeah, you said that he died, didn't he? So that makes sense.
Yeah, there was one guy who died. I think actually the guy who died was a Viking player, a warlord. We have 4 Viking players, right? 3 Viking players right now fighting in the Northern Wars. We have one Joms Viking player fighting with everyone. Norse-gael player who's raiding everyone all the time. We have me being the last Roman guy, like the true last Roman in Italy.
Yeah, recreate the empire, right? That's all. Taking
Actually,
Italy.
The other last Roman guy who's playing I call them Byzantine lines because he started in the Byzantine. He's actually expanding he already conquered most of the Iberian Peninsula, and now he's fighting against the Normans, trying to get, everything.
There's always the multiple emperors at one time. Yeah, that makes sense too.
What we learned, for example, is when 2 Pagan Rus armies meet, first battle, no one died. I mean, they just didn't die. They get their points.
Just one hell of a snowstorm going on during that fight.
The second battle, I think 3 guys died only. They played this scenario, the Unknown Lands, I think. It is called the Unknown Lands. And the only guys who died because of the natives. I don't know how do they do that. I mean, they just don't attack each other, those Pagan Rus players.
A gentleman's agreement, I guess.
Yeah, it looks like it. In the write-up, they actually wrote that the two lords met
Mhm.
in the middle in the center of the battlefield, talked a little bit, and yeah, that was it. They were
Okay.
great.
Cool.
Amazing.
Well, thank you for getting in touch with me and talking about this. It was really great chatting with you. It's very cool. I think campaigns are understated, but they get people motivated to play
Yeah,
and get
that's
people
true.
out there, and it's very cool. Thank you for coming on and chatting with me. So I encourage folks to pick up Age of the Wolf. I don't. So, did you have trouble finding a copy? Did you have a copy from before? I guess I'm
We
curious if
have a
it's
play.
out of print or not.
I mean, we have players who played actually the first edition of the saga, and they have different books, so I can just use their books
Mm-hmm.
because I started with the second edition
Okay.
like 2 years ago or so. No, not
So,
even 2 years ago, 1.5 years ago.
yeah, I guess I'd maybe check the Gripping Beast website if anybody has
Yeah,
it. They probably have it. Otherwise, eBay. It's a really cool book, and basically the campaign is laid out in it. So, I would
and after the second edition came out, I think some of the shops they have the first edition books,
on
on a
sale.
sale.
Yeah.
So it's not expensive
So,
just to have it.
mm-hmm.
And just take the rules, change a little bit if you feel that it's too complicated, do it your way,
Mm-hmm.
whatever makes you happy.
Yeah.
But put the narrative part in it. Really, it really works. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I tried it with Saga, I tried it with Blood Bowl, and in both
Nice.
cases,
Yeah.
I played Blood Bowl as well, and I'm also
Yeah.
the campaign master
That's the
commissioner.
other system I did a campaign in as well. See a season, makes sense.
But it makes sense actually. It also brings players together if you have, sports newspapers writing about the games.
Yeah, it'd be cool.
So it's pretty cool. So the narrative part is really really good to keep them interested in playing and keep them invested in the campaign.
Okay. Well, can people contact you if they have questions? Is that cool? And then if so,
Sure.
what do you think is the best
I
way? If you
guess
have an email, I can put up
Facebook.
your email or look you up on Facebook.
I think Facebook I think is the best thing at this moment. Um,
Okay. You're part of the big Saga group?
Yes, I'm also the part of the main Saga group, the
Okay.
worldwide Saga group,
So I'll
the
put
Polish Saga group,
yeah.
every Saga group there is.
I'll put your name in the notes here, and then people can. I'm assuming if you look on Facebook, they'll be able to do a search for that name, and see that you're in the group, and then they'll know that the Wojciech is the
Yeah,
one that they want.
the name is quite unique, so easy to find.
Uh-huh. So very cool. If anybody else has been running a campaign, and not necessarily that you want to talk to me about it on a video, but I would love to hear how it's going, or post in the comments below about your campaign. What happened, if you ran one, how successful was it? So I did run a campaign, which I mentioned before, for Saga. So this was right when I started doing these videos. So can't remember if I really talked about it or not. It would have been one of the really early ones. I don't really
I
recommend going
think
back and looking at those. I kind of cringe thinking about those early videos. But it took place in Italy. So this was around 1000 AD. So we had some Crusades players and some Viking Age players. So I thought that was a good meeting point for the two eras because the Normans were down there, so the Viking Age meeting with the Crusades Age, and we did have a map, but the map is like secondary to the matchups and everything, and so we ended it with a mega battle. It was me and then another guy versus. So I was the first player, and I was paired up with the third player, and then I played the second place player with the fourth place player, and then the fifth and the sixth players, they were out of it. They didn't care anyways. And
okay.
then so we basically whoever won the game, but your warlord had to live in order to win. So if I won the game but my warlord died, the third place player would, win the campaign. That's really important that you win the campaign. So, so the battle actually worked out. Like almost all my troops were destroyed, and I just had my warlord left and make maybe like 2 warriors or something. And then so my opponent or my partner, he had just abandoned him and was like, listen, if you want to kill him. But I was like hunkered down in the woods and I kept moving. So we won the battle in the end, and my warlord just barely survived. So, technically I won, but I'm guessing that my partner probably just, executed him after the battle actually. But so that's kind of how we did mine. We weren't using Age of the Wolf or anything like that. So it was kind of just a learning kind of campaign. It's more important just to get the games in, because 3 of the players were new. So, this is just an excuse to get you guys to play. So that's how my one and only Saga campaign went. So, hopefully give you folks some ideas there of what you can do, and hopefully some folks are excited, and maybe I'll get something going in my area. I'll have to talk with Jeremy and some of the other guys, because we're kind of in between ages right now. We did Magic this summer. We were heavy on Vikings, and now we're just kind of playing everything right now. We did Pagan Peoples versus Vikings last, so we're just mixing the ages, getting crazy. So we'll see. But thanks again, Wojciech. And any closing comments? Any last tips here on the way out?
Yeah, the most important thing is have fun. I mean, someone wins, someone loses, someone is the victor, the great warlords. But the most important thing is to have fun and just play the games.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So awesome. I'm going to catch you guys next time.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for having me.
Yep.
Bye.
Saga!